I pointed out the fact that most Taiwanese politicians, just about a month ago, I got a message in my email. Somebody wrote in English.
大家好，我是phong尼哥，欢迎来到我的频道。你们记得 David 吗？他写了2本关于台湾的书。等一下，我说2本吗？他已经写了第3本哦。我觉得他有很多可以分享啊。David, welcome again.
And thank you for having me back.
And it's nice to see you again because the feedback from the first video was quite good, quite nice. People liked you.
It was good. You know, we both commented, a lot of views, and just about a month ago I got a message in my email. Somebody wrote in English, said, I loved it, I loved it.
Oh,
so
nice.
There were some good responses, it was great. And many people, and this man here he knows what he's doing.
Thank you.
He's a good technician. And
you share your life with your own words, so it was actually all you.
It was all me, but believe me, many of my friends said, "Oh, I loved it. His video was great."
You actually need to kind of thank them too because they watched, they click like, and they subscribe to me. I think they will do the same again.
Right, and they did. And so thank you all, viewers.
We were talking about the feedback after the first video. So can you tell me about the feedback which reached you, and then how was it? How did it change your life or your point of view?
It was just enjoyable. There were some good responses, most of them in Chinese, a few in English, and people said they loved it. And they even said they liked me, and that was very, very pleasing. And so that was nice that I connected with people that way, and I'll try to do that again today. And I hope you enjoy this one just as much.
Hope so. Okay, let's start with harder questions.
Okay.
As I just mentioned, you wrote your 3rd book about Taiwan and some topics related to Taiwan. What was the driving force for writing the 3rd book?
Well, long story short, the publisher sent me an email and said, would you like to propose a book? Now, I had no book idea at that time, but just on a whim, I said, okay, and I wrote a proposal, and it was just a whim. And really, my proposal wasn't that interesting. It was really just similar to my last book, just sort of talking about Taiwan, politics, history, culture, economy. And I just dashed it off, and I sent it to them. And I was amazed. A week later, the man I know at the publisher, he wrote me back, and I was surprised it was him, and said, oh, I like it.
Cool.
Let's go ahead with it. And then somehow this new idea popped into my head, and I don't even remember how. And somehow I got this new idea, which we're going to talk about today, transnationalism. I want to change this book. What do you think of this? And he wrote me again and said, I like it. Let's do it.
Cool.
Now, I don't remember exactly how that came about, but somehow it did.
All right.
And then the next thing you know, he was telling me, write it. And so I sat down and began to write it.
All right, it sounds actually like quite cool. The term itself sounds cool.
Transnationalism.
Yeah. Let me just ask you what transnationalism is.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, my listeners, let me just tell you that this man sitting here is a perfect example of transnational quality character.
Let me learn what it is first.
He has lived in different countries. He speaks different languages. He has adopted new cultures. He's lived in the United States. He's lived in Europe. He likes Taiwan a lot, as you all know. And he speaks different languages. I think he can speak 4 languages. And so he has made himself a transnational quality character. He has traveled, he has relocated, adopted new cultures, adopted new languages, and that's what transnationalism is. So as you can see, it's a fairly simple idea. Many of your viewers who are watching us, they've experienced it. They've moved to different countries, they've gone education in different countries, things like that. Students are a big part of the transnational world. And business is a big part of the transnational world. Businesses are stretching across borders and adopting new languages, adopting new practices to meet new people, reach new people. And so it's a really simple idea. And so I brought that in the book. I talk about the big idea of transnational, sort of internationally, globally, but then I focus it into Taiwan, things that are happening here. I pointed out the fact that most Taiwanese politicians can speak other languages. Many can speak English, and many can speak other languages. So they have transnationalized themselves. And so that's sort of in our culture, in our politics. Many students are traveling around the world and adopting new languages. And of course, they're adopting new languages even when they live in Taiwan. That's what I teach. I teach English at this school, and my students are very passionate about English, and they really want to adopt the language. A lot of them have said they want to study overseas. They are international businesses, there's that word again, but they're also transnational in that they are reaching across borders and contacting new people that way. It's a new way of looking at Taiwan, showing that Taiwan is not just Taiwan. Taiwan is a national, international world of people doing these different things and relocating and living in different places.
I was a student in Turkey or Czech Republic or Alaska, but Taiwanese students were all over.
Oh,
they
yeah?
were like at a very young age, they were traveling.
Right.
So I was
right.
like, okay, they can travel. Why can't I? I think that was my starting point to ask more questions.
Right.
And to do more. Yeah.
And I like your story. I'd like to include it in my book. I could maybe quote him in my book. He could talk about how he saw the Taiwanese out there. And of course, in the United States, that's a big location. I forget the number right now, but there are a lot of Taiwanese students in the United States. I talked to 2 Aboriginal people, Taiwan Aboriginals. She might have been an Amis. I think she was. And she works for the Taiwan...
Hualien.
Right, that's from around there, right. And she works for the Taiwan Aboriginal Society, the government group. And it took me several phone calls to reach through to them, and I was getting sort of bumped aside, and finally I got through to her and she said, okay, I'll talk to you. And I said, I want to talk about Aboriginal groups, because Aboriginal groups, it's an interesting area. For one thing, there's do you know the out of Taiwan idea? It's called out of Taiwan. It's an idea.
Really?
Oh, really? I'm surprised. It's a big idea where these archaeologists, anthropologists, language specialists, about 20 years ago, 2 or 3 of them came together and said, you know what, we think that the entire Indo-Pacific region actually comes from Taiwan. The Taiwanese people, they spread out from Taiwan first.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is their idea. And this has become a very popular idea. A lot of people subscribe to it and think that it's true. Yeah, that's where it all came from. Now, there are other theories. Some people think, no, that came from China. And some people think, no, it came from India.
No, they don't look similar.
Right.
Like facial features and stuff, they don't look similar to Chinese or like people from China. But they look similar to, Aboriginals, yeah.
Right. The Aboriginal Taiwanese, they did become the transnational character of spreading out.
Wow.
Right. And
so it's like a popular internet meme, like transnational before it was cool.
Before it was cool, right,
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the truth is, the Aboriginal people of Taiwan, they do not really recognize this idea. But nevertheless, I talked to the woman and she told me some things. This is what Aboriginal people do believe, right? And she talked about it. And she gave me some interesting ideas. Then she put me through, she said, talk to this other guy I know. He's an Aboriginal, he speaks English. His father was an American. I reached him and he was telling me, yeah, I know what you mean about transnational. And yeah, we do think about it. He said, but you know what? We don't really think, when we talk about migration of our people, we don't really think about spreading out from Taiwan. We think about how we got to Taiwan, how we arrived here, right? Sort of island hopping in the Pacific and reaching here. And he said, so it's a different idea, but that's sort of what we celebrate. They do have several ocean festivals. They don't really talk about out of Taiwan, but they do say we do go out on the ocean. So I've got some live quotations in the book that's real fresh and real cool, all right?
They will see that in the book.
You'll see that in the book.
So we are expecting that.
And other than that, I just cover all the various topics. Then I go into the more of the modern day, politics, economy, business, students, and I cover those topics differently, separately in the book, okay?
So maybe we can put the table of contents down.
Yeah, I can send that to you.
Actually, they will be able to get the book and read the book by the time we publish this video.
Right. Okay. We were talking about that. The book will be out soon, and I hope you can see it. The publisher is Macmillan, and if you can look it up, if you want to look on my Facebook page, I'll announce it when it comes. And
just like last time, I'm gonna place it down in the description box. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask you another question, which is kind of related to what you do because you're a teacher. And do you think Taiwanese students are encouraged to be transnational people?
You could say that. The fact that many of them go overseas to study shows that, right?
School is so important because when I tried to make my transition in the beginning of my journey, I did everything by myself. My school tried to provide something, but they were not what I wanted. Like they had some like certain rules, certain things to do. You do this and go back here on this at this time. Do this, do that. So, but I just wanted to break this.
Okay.
So I made all of my connections by myself, and it was really hard. It was really hard, challenging. I was about to give up so many times, but that was just like driving force. I could do it actually, and I did it. Yeah. So
Good for you.
thinking about Taiwan providing those things to Taiwanese students, actually, I feel like, okay, I didn't get those, but Taiwanese students can get that. So I'm really happy for that.
Right. This man moved to the United States, and then he made his way to Taiwan and seems to have landed permanently here.
And I tried to make it like a little bit harder. I moved to Alaska. It's like one of the hardest parts.
Pretty hard place to go, right.
All right, so I think we covered a lot of things, and if you want to read more, because there's a lot of things, a lot of good things to read in his book, so please take a look at the description box, try to get his book, so we can also talk more in the comment section. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.